Redskins fans are in a frenzy about their 9-0 squad, fully expecting them to go 16-0.
Well, projections are for the media and the fans. Reality is for the players. And Joe Gibbs has this team completely focused. Remember about the Redskins, though. They're a team with pretty good talent, but they're the best coached team in the NFL. And these conditions really favor the Redskins. That big hog line wants to get up there and slop and roll in the mud and pound the ball, and they'll get plenty of chances today.
Well, despite having won 5 of its last 7 games, Atlanta has a pretty tall task in front of it today, made tougher by injuries.
And the 2 key injuries are on offense. Rookie Joe Sims will start at left tackle for Mike Ken, who's out, and Billy Joe Tolliver, who has a fractured thumb, is going to start for Chris Miller, who's inactive with bruised ribs. We may see Brett Favre, the rookie, at quarterback before this day is over.
Washington has won the coin toss and has elected to receive. The series record 10-3-1 in favor of Washington as Norm Johnson gets set to kick off for the Falcons, and back for Washington, Ricky Irvins along with Brian Mitchell. Atlanta has never won in Washington in 6 tries. And we're underway. From the 6, Mitchell. And forward progress up around the 24 for Brian Mitchell. An 18-yard return. Mark Rippon, the 6th-rated quarterback in the NFL, will be at the helm today behind an offensive line that has seen some changes. The 4-time Pro Bowler Russ Grimm in place of the injured Jim Lachey. Joe Jacoby with a sprained knee. He will give it a try. Backs and receivers a posse. Sanders, Clark, and Monk caught 19 passes against the Oilers last week. Ernest Biner, the lone setback. 1st and 10 for Washington. Ball at their own 24. Biner ahead to about the 26. Jesse Tugwell on the stop. It'll be marked at about the 27, a gain of 3.
Darian Conner, the real threat off the corner as a pass rusher for the Falcons. And up front, the Falcons are not very big. In fact, actually, you'd say they're small, but they're quick, they're slanters, they fill the gaps. The linebackers, the leading tacklers there, Rady and Tugwell, last year's leader for the entire NFL. And the defensive backfield got to change. Bobby Butler starting for Deion Sanders.
2nd and 7 for Washington. Monk to the near side. This is Sanders in motion. Biner, the ball kick. And Biner, no gain on the play. Back to the line of scrimmage.
Nice play there by Darian Conner, doing exactly what you have to do against that counter tray that Washington has made famous, and that is attack the lead blocker from the outside and disrupt the blocking pattern. He got completely by Schlereth there and got in for the tackle.
Joe Gibbs, in his 11th season here in Washington, a masterful coach, keeping his team focused. 6 defensive backs in for Atlanta. A loss of 1 on the play where the ball is marked. It's 3rd and 8. And Rippon to pass. Overthrows the intended receiver, Art Monk, who was being defended by Tim McKyer.
And the Atlanta defensive players, James, told us yesterday, we know this guy's only been sacked 4 times in the year. He hasn't had any in the last month. We don't necessarily have to get to Rippon. We have to get near Rippon because we really think we can disrupt his passing.
One of the things Mark Rippon has done nicely this year is to stay healthy.
He's also been lucky, James, seen a lot of 2nd and 4 and 2nd and 5 with that running game. You put him in long passing situations, I think that's when he's tested.
Brian Jordan back to receive his Kelly. Good burn punt, and it's blocked. Atlanta special teams, Randy, have done an excellent job in that category all season long.
John Brandis, the center, caught that ball in the air, but Bobby April's special teams, Jerry Glanville loves special teams, and his special teams coach, Bobby April, is one of the best in the entire league. A great guy that jumps around, enthusiasm, has his guys ready, and they definitely, during the week, saw something they could take advantage of. Look at Darian Conner right in the middle, 56, along with Elbert Shelley, 37. Got right in there and got an easy, clean block by pushing the entire front of the Redskins back into the punters. There's Bobby April, the special team. He's got to be crazy and tough. He doesn't have a jacket on in this weather.
6th block of the season for the Falcons. They led the NFL last year with 9. Excellent field position. Ball at the 31 of Washington. 1st motion. Billy Joe Tolliver rolling. Incomplete. Martin Mayhew right on top of Mike Pritchard with the hit the moment he caught it. Billy Joe Tolliver getting the starting nod at the helm for Atlanta. Third-year quarterback out of Texas Tech. A tough-nosed quarterback indeed. And the change there, Joe Sims, our rookie out of Nebraska, in place of the injured Mike Ken, who was having a sensational year. The red gun package, 4 wideouts. Eric Pegram, alias the Pilgrim, the lone running back. 2nd and 10. Pat Chafee, the ball carrier. And not much doing for Chafee, the first-year running back out of Oregon State. Brad Edwards, along with Bobby Wilson, applying some pressure. No gain on the play.
And we had a case there of an unbalanced line. Sims, the rookie, out here, but here's the right tackle. That's Chris Hinton lining up at guard. Actually at a tackle. It's an unbalanced line with 2 offensive tackles next to each other. Something Washington told us they had prepared to see from the Falcons, and they stuffed that one.
3rd and 10. Red gun package for the Falcons. Broussard, the lone back. Is it caught? Andre Rison with a great catch for the first down. So talk about good concentration on the part of Rison.
The Atlanta luck continues. They had the Hail Mary last week against San Francisco, and Andre Rison is the last person to touch this ball as he lies on the ground. Watch Tolliver zip this thing out there. It's tipped once, it's tipped twice. Johnson tips it, and it comes right down into Rison's hand. Good luck and good concentration.
Andre Rison, who wants to be recognized, and in the formation for Atlanta, although the play is being stopped on the field, Andre Bruce, 4th-year player out of Auburn, lining up at tight end.
And they told us they think they might have found the ideal position for this guy. He is a guy that can run, he can catch, and they're surprised he blocks very, very well. He's being replaced right now by Mike Ruther. I think they brought the guy that's got more practice at tight end that used to be an offensive lineman in. Let's see what they're reviewing here. There's a tip. Guess they're going to see if it hit the ground. Lands, not. Play as called. That thing landed right on Rison.
Replay official today, Chuck Heverling, and the play does stand. First down for the Falcons. Ball at the 18 of Washington. And Mike Rozier still on his feet. And Rozier goes ahead for 3, make it 2, down to the 16s.
Jerry Glanville refers to that man as the heavyweight champion of the NFL, Mike Rozier. I definitely think he's one of the toughest guys in the league. He's going to have to be with guys like Charles Mann running after him. And the entire front line of this Redskins defense specializes in stuffing the run. Bobby Wilson starting for Eric Williams, injured his neck a couple weeks ago against the Giants. Kurt Govea against his run and shoot team. He's going to get the start over Matt Millen in the middle. That is a solid group right there, defensive backfield.
2nd and 8. Rozier. And Rozier, forward progress, should be to about the 14. A gain of 2 will bring up a 3rd and 6. A.J. Johnson in on the tackle, among others. First possession for the Falcons as you take a look at Jerry Glanville, 2nd year in his head coaching spot here at Atlanta. A record of 5-4, the first time the Falcons have been at this point in the season since 1986.
And this is where you expect the Redskin defense to come after Billy Joe Tolliver, who down here in the red zone.
3rd and 6 from the 14. Play action. Tolliver chased by Mann. Throws it incomplete. Intended receiver Michael Haynes. So Norm Johnson will come on to attempt the field goal as Billy Joe Tolliver leaves the field.
You know, something to look for today, the whole day from Atlanta. Watch Billy Joe Tolliver. He will be taking those short rolls to his right predominantly. They're going to try to stay away from the side of the rookie, Joe Sims.
This will be a 31-yard field goal attempt. Johnson, perfect this season, 9 of 9 inside of the 45. And the Falcons hit the scoreboard first at the 9:52 mark of the first quarter. Landville's Falcons lead it 3-0. Falcons strike first, lead at 3-0. It's a pleasure for us to be welcomed and joined by Leslie Visser.
JB, as you know, everyone was touched by the news of Magic Johnson, including Andre Rison, who, like Magic, went to Michigan State. Andre spoke with Magic's family the day of the announcement, and this morning he told me that he thinks Magic has been touched by God to send the message that everyone is at risk. Ironically, the first professional athlete known to have died of AIDS played right here in RFK Stadium. He was Redskin tight end Jerry Smith, who died in 1986 at the age of 43. JB?
All right, Leslie, and certainly the reaction throughout the sporting community internationally has been one of sympathy for Magic. Mitchell across the 20, and Mitchell upended near the 24-yard line. Tackle made by, believe it or not, Brian Mitchell, no relation of the Falcons. A 25-yard return by Brian Mitchell of the Skins. Randy, Joe Gibbs was most effusive in his praise of Mark Rippon when we talked with him, called him one of the brightest quarterbacks, football minds he's coached.
Actually said he's the most intelligent football quarterback he has ever had under his tutelage, and that's saying something for Joe Gibbs. He's had some of the best.
Second possession for the Skins, 1st and 10 at their own 26 mark. Rippon looking up top for Gary Clark, and Clark has it complete in Falcons territory. A 41-yard pass from Rippon to Clark, and he beat Tim McKyer.
You know, James, it almost isn't fair to say he beat Tim McKyer on that play. Rippon put that ball up in the air, and we're just going to see a case of who can get the best position and who wants this ball the worst, because both these guys have a chance to catch this ball. This is not a particularly well-thrown ball. It's underthrown. Look at this. Both guys going for it, but Gary Clark is able to maneuver his body and get body position on McKyer.
Scans from the 33 of Atlanta. 1st and 10. Rip back to pass with time. Throws it incomplete in the direction of Ernest Biner.
Let's take another look at that catch. On the right-hand part of the screen right here, McKyer and Clark. Look at how Clark twists his body at the last minute and puts his body between McKyer and the ball.
I think after that miss of Clark's against the Giants, wide open, he is determined even more so to keep his eyes focused on the ball. 2nd and 10. Nickel defensive package in for the Falcons. 8:44 left in the first quarter of play. Atlanta on top, 3-0. And it's complete to Sanders, and Sanders looks to be close to the first down. Scott Case on the stop.
This is the thing that Mark Rippon has really learned to do well this year. He's always been known as a mad bomber. There's Sanders in motion, number 83 moving. But he's learned to read the defenses and take the easy, quick ones when they're given to him. He doesn't get greedy, and he has made very few mental errors as a quarterback this year.
And it is a first down for Washington. An 11-yard pass play as the Skins keep their second drive alive. 8:28 left in the first quarter of play. Ball marked at the 23 of Atlanta.
Rippon told us, remember, anytime you get inside the 30-yard line against the Atlanta Falcons, they're going to bring corners, they're going to bring linebackers, they're going to bring safeties. They'll bring as many as 9 guys after Rippon down here in the red zone.
3 tight ends in for the Skins. Sanders to the near side. Terry Orr in motion. This is Bynum. Flag on the play near the sideline, the near sideline.
Five-yard penalty, still first down.
That's one of the hazards, JB, of all the motion and the movement and the formation changes and everything else I think that Washington has. If you're not completely crisp mentally when you're doing them, guys will start towards the line of scrimmage like we had there, and that's where the illegal procedure came from.
And also Atlanta, well aware that Joe Gibbs likes to show an awful lot of formations in the first quarter.
You know, they almost say he likes to test you a lot, but, you know, his formations are almost to set up the running game. They're not so much to set up the passing game.
This is 1st and 15, and flags again on the play, complete to Clark. And Ken Tippins on the tackle, but there are flags on both sides of the field. Dale Hamer, our referee today, a busy fellow already.
Men on the field for the defense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Well, you're allowed to have 4 men on the field, aren't you? I think it might have been 12 men on the field that got him bad there. They were making a last-minute substitution. Jerry Glanville naturally doesn't like that, but even you're not allowed to use 12 guys, Jerry.
With the High Plains Drifter coat on.
Okay, look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes. You know, it doesn't look bad.
Randy, you've also given an awful lot of credit to this offensive line of Washington for putting Mark Rippon in some great situations this year to look good.
That's what we talked about, James. 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5. Quarterbacks can do anything they want when it's 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5. It opens up their entire playbook.
1st and 10 from the 23. 3 tight ends again. Bynum. And Bynum, maybe a yard. Bring up a 2nd and 9.
One thing that's different about this Atlanta Falcon defense we mentioned before is their size up front. You know, they've got a 245-pound end in Green, a 258-pound nose guard in Gardner. You know, Rick Bryan's the big guy. He's 265. But they do move. They slant, and they're all over the football field. The only problem with that is if you slant to the wrong spots, running backs like Bynum can pop great big runs on you.
2nd and 9 from the 21. Monk to the near side. Rippon with time. Throws it incomplete. Intended receiver was Ernest Bynum, who was being defended by Jesse Tuggle, the inside linebacker. Randy, you almost have a tendency to feel sorry for Atlanta being so undersized, but the players say they like being small and quick.
It doesn't. You don't ever feel sorry for a team that Jerry Glanville coaches because they're undersized or because they kind of have an injury, because he has his football team ready to go every single Sunday. We're not talking about ready to go, kind of. They're ready to fight in the parking lot. They're ready to fight on the field. They'll fight you in the tunnel.
A 3rd and 9 situation for the Skins. 6:35 left in the first period of play. Atlanta on top, 3-0. Rippon. Incomplete. Intended receiver again was Bynum, but a flag on a play as Jesse Tuggle, late hit.
No doubt. That was unnecessary roughness on Tuggle right there. That ball was clearly gone when he delivered that shot.
And that will keep the Washington drive alive.
Personal foul. Number 58. Late hit. 15-yard penalty. First down.
You know, it's funny, we just talked about the attitude of the Falcons being tough, being fighters. This is an example of sometimes that attitude can hurt you. Bynum clearly has got no chance. He does not have the ball, and there really is no reason for Tuggle to hit Bynum there. That's just a mental lapse. And besides that, it wasn't even really a good hit. I mean, that wasn't a true decleater. He just sort of knocked him down.
Atlanta came into the game as the most penalized team in the NFL yardage-wise, 571. 1st and 10 for the Skins. Ball at the 11 of Atlanta. Bynum. And Bynum down to about the 9. Will bring up a 2nd and 8. Darian Connor leading the black jerseys.
Here's Brian Mitchell, the return specialist, being stretched out. If they did that to me, you'd hear a loud pop. Audible whack.
And Randy, with the cold weather conditions down there, important, in fact, to do this.
A lot of stretching, because this is one of those games you could really pull a muscle easy. Every single contact you make in this kind of weather hurts.
3 tight end formation again. Play action. Griffin going for Terry Orr. Touchdown, Washington.
And in talking about that aggressive nature of the Atlanta Falcons defense, you give them that play action pass. They sucked them up real quick, and Orr coming out of the backfield in motion was wide open in the corner.
Chip Lomiller, the NFL's leading scorer, comes on to boot the point after, and Washington answers back to take a 7-3 lead over Atlanta.
Now keep an eye here as the motion starts. Coming out of the backfield. Okay, here we go. Middleton, motion out of the backfield. Orr coming all the way over from the left-hand side. Tuggle chasing him late. Tuggle badly beaten in the corner for a Redskin touchdown.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Chrysler Corporation and its divisions, proud sponsors of the 1992 U.S. Olympic team. Hewlett-Packard LaserJet printers, they'll get you noticed. And by Bud Light, everything else is just a light.
Eric Pegram on the return for the Falcons, up to the 14 only. And let's take a look at that touchdown. 3rd catch of the season only for Terry Orr.
Keep an eye on 2 people. Terry Orr here, Tuggle here. Tuggle will take a hesitation and get started over here. Orr beats him right clean into the corner. Tuggle just takes 1 step too many hops. 1, 2, didn't need to take the 3rd, because that 3rd one got him beat. With man coverage like that on Orr, easy pass for Rippon to hit.
And the first touchdown of the season for Terry Orr. 1st and 10 for Atlanta from its own 15. Pat Chafee, the lone back in the red gun package. Billy Joe Tolliver, sack. Number 1 of the afternoon for the Skins. 25th of the year for Washington. And Timmy Johnson all over top of him. 1.5 sacks on the season for Johnson.
And we're going to see Tim Johnson will come in from the right-hand side. This is a coverage sack. This looks like a pass that should have been thrown now. Protection breaks down at the last minute, and Tim Johnson takes advantage, working against Houston Hoover at left guard.
Ball marked at the 8 will make it a 2nd and 17 for Atlanta. Incomplete. Intended receiver was George Thomas, and Darrell Green, the speedster himself, right there.
And when you're caught back like this crowd can drive you nuts. And who would the crowd affect more than anybody? A rookie making his first start. Look at Sims, 66, working here against Stokes. Good job. I mean, remember, this guy has never played a snap of offense in his life before today. 11th round draft choice out of Nebraska, came here as a defensive tackle.
3rd and 17. Nickel package in for Washington. On the ground. And Broussard only across the 10 to the 11. 3 yards picked up on a play, not nearly enough. Atlanta will have to boot it away, so 3 and out for the Falcons as Washington's defense rises to the challenge. Fulhade, fifth-year player out of Kansas State, on to punt for Atlanta. 3 yards deep in his own end zone. Ryan Mitchell back near midfield for Washington. And Mitchell signals for the fair catch, playing it safe. And it'll be Washington ball. Good field position at the 46 when we come back.
You're watching CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League.
194th consecutive non-strike sellout here at RFK. Seeing a good battle in the first quarter. Atlanta went ahead on a field goal. Washington answered back. Mark Rippon to Terry Orr. 7-3 Washington. 4:10 left in the first quarter.
These Falcons will be facing once again a very methodical, very plodding Redskin team. They can pound it at you with the run and kill you with the play action like the last possession.
Washington with excellent field position. 1st and 10 from its own 46. Reverse Monk. Maybe 3 yards picked up on the play. Monk near the 49, tackled by Brian Jordan.
Now inactives today for the Redskins: Humphreys and Curtis, Miller and Ken. The significance of Miller being inactive, as far as I'm concerned, is anything happens to Billy Joe Tolliver, Brett Favre is the quarterback coming in here today.
And Brett Favre, of course, is the rookie out of Southern Mississippi. Talented youngster, but still very raw. 2nd and 7. Ball at the 49. 3:28 left in the first quarter play. Rippon. Intended receiver was Gary Clark. Overthrew him by a good 6-7 yards. Bobby Butler, the cornerback, defending, and Bobby Butler replacing the injured Deion Sanders.
And when we talked to the Redskins Friday, the receivers think they can use double moves against somebody that's slowed up. If Sanders was in, we'd see a lot of double moves. But Bobby Butler's a savvy veteran out of Florida State. He's been here a long time. A double move won't do anything to Bobby Butler.
11 years to be exact, and looks like he hasn't gained a pound from year one. 5'11", 175. There's Deion Sanders all bundled up.
Yeah, think he's got any intention of going in?
None. 3rd and 7. Rippon looking for Monk, and it's complete at the 35. There is a flag on the play. A 16-yard pass play from Rippon to Monk, and we'll see if it stands. Against Atlanta.
Offside. Number 77 of the defense. Penalty is declined. 1st down.
So the reception for Monk stands, and Art Monk, the 12-year veteran out of Syracuse, now has caught a pass in 126 straight games. One more game, and he ties Harold Carmichael for 3rd place in the all-time reception list. Randy, a guy who played with you around your time, shall I say, the all-time leader, Steve Archer. Biner. Big hole for Ernest Biner as he bangs his way down near the 31. A 6-yard run by Ernest Biner. Right now, let's check back up in New York with Greg Gumbel.
All right, JB, at Cleveland, as Irv Cross told us in the pregame show, well, the Eagles are a hurting club, and so far today they look at Bernie Kosar to Leroy Horde, 65 yards. They missed the extra point, but at this point, they're leading by a score of 16-0. James?
All right, Greg, and back here in Washington, it's Washington on top 7-3 as Biner looking for a hold, tries to get back to the line of scrimmage, maybe picks up one. We'll see where they mark it. Ken Tippins on the stop, and it looks like he got back only to the line of scrimmage.
You know, it's awful early to be declaring something a critical possession, James, but this is a very important possession for the Falcons. They don't want the Redskins to get points out of this possession if they can help it, because this crowd, this team, it's kind of like holding back a mudslide. Once things start, you can't really stop it. If you're going to stop them, you got to stop them now.
Holding back a mudslide. Skins, one of 3 on third down conversions. This is 3rd and 4. And Rickard incomplete as Gary Clark couldn't quite rein it in.
This will be about a 47-yard field goal. Lohmiller's going to be trying in this swirling wind in these cold conditions. It's going to be a tough one.
Lohmiller has a season best of 53 yards against Dallas, but Randy, as you mentioned, with the wind down on the field, we'll see whether or not it hinders it.
You saw Eric Dickerson on the NFL Today earlier? Indianapolis, 61 points in 9 games. Yes.
This will be a 48-yard field goal attempt by Chip Lohmiller. No good to the left. And he did have a wind that he was fighting that time. The net effect, Washington still on top by 4. Something Atlanta's a little unfamiliar with. If the season were to end today, Atlanta would be in the playoff picture for the first time since 1982, the strike season.
What you might refer to as rarefied air for the Atlanta Falcons, but don't count this as gospel because there's another list. Look at the Vikings. If you look at the Vikings record down the road, keep an eye on those Minnesota Vikings. I think they're right up there in the playoffs this year.
Boy, can you figure the Rams?
After having seen them, yes, I can figure them pretty well. They're not very good.
1st and 10 for Atlanta. Ball at its own 31. 1:35 left in the first quarter play. Washington on top, 7-3. Tracy Johnson in motion. Rozier, the ball carrier, and Rozier goes nowhere. And Wilbur Marshall is going at it with Chris Hinton. I tell you, Wilbur may very well be a little upset coming into the game because of the comments made by Andre Bruce that may be getting Chris Hinton in trouble.
Andre Bruce said he was going to dominate Wilbur, and Wilbur wouldn't make a tackle. And it's easy to say when you're on the sidelines, but not really a suggested thing against a guy with the temperament of a Wilbur Marshall.
Not the kind of guy you'd want to upset. Having a great year.
You know, one thing these Falcons have accomplished, too, by that missed field goal, they're going to be able to push Washington back in a field position battle here. Even if they don't get a first down, Fulhay can put Washington deep into their own territory.
2nd and 10. Incomplete. Rising. Could not hold on to it.
James, I think this weather, this cold condition is having a real effect on the Atlanta Falcons receivers. You know, they mentioned Michael Haynes yesterday talked about the cold. I don't like the cold. And it looks like these balls are getting to their hands and they're just not closing on it. You see the wind whipping up a little bit here at RFK. I mean, it may not look it, folks. It is cold down on that football field.
Problems also plaguing Billy Joe Tolliver, 1 of 5 for only 13 yards. And as you heard Leslie Visser mention, he has a fractured thumb. He refractured the thumb he fractured in college.
But he also has 3 drops.
Looks to be complete, but short of the yardage necessary for the first down. Caught by Mike Pritchard, the rookie out of Colorado. Needed to get to the 41. He's about 3 yards shy.
Charles Mann banged up on that last play. Remember, he's got that bad knee coming into this thing.
And that is the bad knee, the right knee.
He describes it as a congenital kind of degeneration of that knee joint.
And Charles Mann having a sensational year. 8 sacks, 17 quarterback hurries. Let's hope that's not serious. Scott Fulhay on to punt.
Let's watch the field position the Skins start with.
And the clock expired before the punt. So that'll be the end of the first quarter. Washington on top, 7-3.
Well, here's Mann and Hinton working over here. Watch right here, the right knee of Charles Mann as Hinton pushes him back over. Seems his foot gets caught in the turf, and he's pushed back over onto that. Ooh, that's a twister.
But Mann was walking okay on the sidelines. Looks to be okay. Started the second quarter here in Washington. Skins on top, 7-3. Atlanta ball. Fulhay to punt. Mitchell on the punt to the 45. An excellent return by Brian Mitchell. A 35-yard punt, 18-yard return. Finally tackled by Ken Tippins. And Brian Mitchell had a little conversation with Joe Gibbs earlier this week about the importance of holding onto the ball.
Not dropping the ball. You don't do that. He's talking to Wayne Sevier, his special teams coach. And Sevier told Mitchell, you know, Coach Gibbs won't let me use you if you keep dropping the ball, and I got to use you on special teams.
Simple as that. 1st and 10 from the 46. To about the 49.
And that punt and return by Atlanta has ruined all the field position advantage Atlanta had gotten by moving the ball up, kicking deep into Washington Redskin territory. Fulhag hit a short punt and no coverage. Terrible breakdown on the coverage for the Atlanta Falcons punt team.
Ball marked at the 50. Pickup of 4 will bring up a 2nd and 6. Ball at midfield. Middleton and Warren, the tight ends in for Washington. Bynum, the tailback out of the eye. And Bynum ahead for about 3. They'll bring up a 3rd and 3.
This Redskin offensive running game is it's about as artistic as Mike Tyson's punches. You know, there's nothing cute, there's nothing fancy. They're like the old Michigan teams with Reggie McKenzie used to walk up to the line of scrimmage and go, we're running right here. You look at their formations, you look at their guys, that's where they're going.
And Joe Gibbs likes the brutish play. 3rd and 3, Rippon to pass. And throws it complete to Monk for the 1st down. McKyer on the coverage and stop. All inside the 40, a 10-yard pass play from Rippon to Monk.
What an advantage it is for a quarterback like Rippon to have these receivers, especially a guy like Monk. You saw there, Monk just cut his route off in mid-route, saw he was in an empty hole in the defense, turned around, faced Rippon. Rippon saw him and hit him.
He's such a quiet guy. I would have thought the Atlanta defenders would have said, hey, Clark or Sanders might be the most dangerous. They say,
Clark, Monk is the most dangerous receiver they got. I don't think there's a doubt about that.
1st and 10 from the 37 of Atlanta. Bynum skipping. And Bynum down to about the 32, a 5-yard run by Ernest Bynum.
On this possession, we're seeing a good example of that plodding, methodical style of offense that Washington likes to use. Just about the time they have you convinced they are plodding and methodical, they send a Ricky Sanders or a Gary Clark deep down the field.
9 carries for 23 yards for Ernest Bynum. 12-17 left in the 1st half. Washington on top, 7-3. Rippon going up top, looking for Clark. Incomplete. And did you see Gary Clark pull up realizing the goal post was there?
But it wasn't. It wasn't there. If he'd have ran through that pattern, I think he had a chance to catch that thing for 6. It's what we were just talking about. They pound it, they pound it, they pound it. Wacko going for the big one, and he flinched. You ever play that game when you were a little kid, and if you flinch, you got to get hit? Watch his flinch. Oh, no.
Right there.
That was a catch. That was a touchdown if he runs through that route and ignores the fact that that goalpost is there.
Boy, the beepers, the sensors started going off in his head a little too soon, huh?
That's another one Gary Clark isn't going to like when he sees it on film.
3rd and 5 from the 33. Rippon incomplete as he went back to Gary Clark. And that one off of his chest. So Kelly Goodburn comes on for Washington to punt it away. One thing about Gary Clark, he gets very upset at anything less than perfection, more so with himself.
And the Redskins punting here, I think, is a good illustration of the physical weather conditions we have here, because normally it's a 50-yard field goal. That is well within low Miller's range. Into this wind and then swirling breeze, they're not even going to try it.
Ryan Jordan back at his own 15, away from his Goodburn punt. And the Redskins special teams unit can't get it back in the field of play, so it'll be a touchback. A.J. Johnson tried it. Atlanta ball when we come back. Back here in Washington, where the Skins lead at 7-3. Second quarter of play, 11:52. And Randy, a low-scoring game, but a lot may very well have to do with the field conditions.
Field conditions, the weather conditions, and right now it's very much like a fight, a heavyweight type fight. They're feeling each other out. There's been shots taken back and forth. Gary Clark flinched and didn't catch a touchdown pass. The Falcons have been affected by the cold, but I think pretty soon here we're going to see some opening up of these offenses.
You got to think that Atlanta may be getting some confidence given that they are staying so close at this point in the game.
Oh, exactly. Jerry Glanville, this team thrives on emotions and intensity, and nothing keeps them in the game longer than having a good team really not keep them in the game.
First and 10, Atlanta from its own 20. Billy Joe escapes Charles Mann and throws it complete for the first down. Mike Pritchard. So Billy Joe Tolliver improvising. Fires a 16-yard pass to Pritchard for the first down.
And you almost think a year ago, before they changed the in-the-grasp rule, this might have been ruled a sack. With a quarterback in danger, Charles Mann easily comes right underneath Mike Ruther, who was trying to block him out of the tight end position. But Tolliver wisely just scrambles out here, and Pritchard does something unusual for a rookie. He uses his savvy and comes back to his quarterback to get that reception.
From the 37, first and 10. Complete to Risen. And Risen runs out of bounds at about the 42. A pickup of 5 on the play. Will bring up a 3rd and 5.
And the last couple of yards on that reception, I think, ought to go against Wilbur Marshall. Wilbur Marshall was trying to tackle the ball, trying to rip that thing out of there. And when Risen kept possession, Risen just squirted away from Wilbur and picked up the last couple of yards.
Are those the kind of things that coaches point out in Monday morning film sessions?
Yeah, without a doubt. They point them out. If they work, they point them out as pluses. If they don't, they point them out as a big minus.
Second and 5 from the 42. Good run ahead up to about the 44. Call it the 45. And Atlanta doing its best imitation of Washington.
You know, they call this offense the red gun. 4 wide receivers, no tight end, a running back. On occasion, they will bring in a tight end. But what this really is the run and shoot with offensive coordinator June Jones here. But the Redskins say, hey, look, we're almost forgetting about the shoot. If you want to play the Atlanta Falcons and stop them, you got to stop the run first.
3rd and 2 from the 45. Play action. Flags everywhere. Throws it complete to Mike Pritchard, who has enough for the first down, but there are flags on each side of the field.
Like somebody called for a handkerchief out there and everybody answered him at the same time.
It looked like Wilbur Marshall could conceivably have been offsides as well.
Oh, the dreaded offsetting penalties. God, I hate that.
We have illegal motion on the offense, offside on the defense. The penalty's offset. We'll repeat the down.
Well, let's see. There were 4 flags, James. Do you think 2 of them were for the offensive penalty and 2 of them were for the defensive penalty?
This game summary is sponsored by Coors Light.
Washington doing the job, certainly in the total yardage category. Accustomed to being on the plus side in the time of possession. Mark Rippon, not impressive looking numbers. They've done the job. They lead it. Washington 7-3. 3rd and 2. Overthrows the intended receiver, Andre Risen.
Well, Tolliver's not happy with himself right there, but I don't think he had much of a choice. They were coming after him. Another half a second, and he'd have been on the ground with a sack.
Billy Joe Tolliver spent an awful lot of time this week, Randy, getting accustomed to his receivers, trying to learn their body language and the like.
It's funny. He says, how was it to learn this offense? It wasn't hard. We only got 2 or 3 plays. How hard could that be? He says, what's tough is working with these guys and being able to anticipate what they're going to do by watching their bodies running their routes.
Jorge going to punt. Mitchell back near his own 12. And Mitchell can't go anywhere as the hit is right at the catch. And it looked to have been Elbert Shelley. Great play on the part of Elbert Shelley. Washington ball when we come back.
Watch the concentration of Mitchell here as Shelley, 37, bears down on him. They do their best imitation of the mailman and the dog. The mailman's got his bag, the dog's got him by the ankle, and he ain't letting go.
The mailman and the dog. 1st and 10 for Washington at its own 11. 9:26 left in the half. Falcons trailing 7-3. Biner. And Ernest Biner up near the 15 for 4 yards. We'll bring up a 2nd and 6. Scott Case on the tackle. Scott Case is always around the ball. As a matter of fact, coming into the game, he had 89 tackles. In the top 10 in the NFL, had 170 last season. 2nd and 6. Rip to pass. Complete to Monk for the 1st down. And Art Monk right now taking Tim McKyer to school.
He's giving Mr. McKyer a bit of a lesson here. And the lesson he gave McKyer on that play is don't ever take your eyes off me and don't ever stop until you hear a whistle. Because Rippon rolling to his left, which is a good strong move for a guy that throws from the right side, just guns this thing. What we didn't see was Monk was about 10 yards further up the field and had come back to that point and worked his body in front of McKyer.
Well, action has been
confirmed. 1st down.
Well, I guess that play's been confirmed that was a completion. Kind of gives you that warm and fuzzy feeling, doesn't it?
Well, replays are taking place all the time. Maybe the completion that was just a little slower. 1st and 10 from the 26. Play action. Rippon going up top for Monk. And Monk that time was slowed up just enough by Bobby Butler.
And he had about a half a yard on Butler. He had Butler beat. But that was a good observation, James, because right about 3 to 4 yards downfield, Butler still had his body right on Monk and slowed him down just enough.
55,000 plus on hand here at RFK. Trying to see if the Redskins can make it 7 straight over the Falcons here in Washington. Skins lead at 7-3. 8:22 left in the 1st half of play. And 10. Monk in motion. Back to Monk again for the 1st down. And Art Monk, the future Hall of Famer, showing why. Ryan Jordan finally on the tackle. A 12-yard pass play from Rippon to Monk.
And Tim McKyer is beginning to become one of the main leaders in the Art Monk fan club, because Monk is showing him exactly how this game should be played by a wide receiver. It's played quietly, and it's played well.
Monk with 4 catches for 49 yards here in the 1st half, and Darryl Green talks about the off-season workout program he has. No one has a tougher one than Art Monk. From the 39, 1st and 10. Play action. Going up top, looking for Clark. He's got it. Touchdown, Washington. A 61-yard pass from Mark Rippon to Gary Clark.
Boy, Tim McKyer got absolutely blistered there.
Low Miller makes it 14-3 Washington with 7:28 left in the first half of play.
They had this play earlier, and Joe Gibbs went back to it again. He's got Gary Clark working from the right side of the screen, one-on-one with Tim McKyer. And he is 5 yards behind him. That was a real fry job there by Gary Clark on Tim McKyer.
Pegram from the 13. Stopped by Johnson at the 20. Coming next, after football here on CBS, the Amoco Centel Championship, and you take a look at the golf ball there, 40 plus. I guess I would qualify, Randy. That'll be coming up next. Jim Thorpe right now is in the lead. And we'll have coverage coming up after football. So, Randy, I guess I could get out there. You got 5 more years to go, so it wouldn't be fair for me to play you.
It's good to see they're paying attention to the lost decade there. You got the youngsters in there. You got the old guys over 50. But what do you do when you're 40? You wait to be a senior?
Right now, Jerry Glanville waiting to see if his squad can get anything going. 1st and 10. Rozier. First down. Mike Rozier finally tackled by Brad Edwards. There is a flag on the play near where Rozier was tackled. Face mask against Washington.
5-yard face mask. Number 35 of the defense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's Martin Mayhew as we go back to the 61-yard scoring strike from Rippon to Clark.
And there's Clark and McKyer at the top of the screen. That's 84 working against 22 McKyer. Right up here. Here they go. Keep an eye on this. Gary Clark just turns on the jets, pulls away from McKyer with a perfect throw from Rippon.
Ouch. Back to live action, 1st and 10 from the 38. This is Rozier again, and Rozier across the 40 to about the 42. A 4-yard pickup by Mike Rozier. You know, Tim McKyer certainly is known as not a quiet guy. He talks incessantly, but Mike Rozier, we're told, talks the loudest.
That's right. They say Tim talks the most, Rozier just talks the loudest, and it's kind of like being at the chalkboard. The last guy at the chalkboard with the chalk in his hand wins the argument. It's not the guy that says the most, it's usually the guy that says it the loudest.
Rozier is running pretty loudly right now as well. 2nd and 6. 6:20 left and a half to play. On the ground again, and Rozier slipping and sliding his way for about 2. Brad Edwards again on the tackle. Six carries for 22 yards for Mike Rozier.
And Atlanta here trying to get only their 4th first down of this first half with just a little under 6 minutes to go in the game. We talked about Andre Bruce. The linebacker was going to be in the game. He's going to get a chance to play a little linebacker. He's at the very top of the screen working at tight end blocking. They're blocking on Wilbur Marshall, the guy who was going to dominate and keep out of every tackle today. Well, good job. Even held him a little bit. I like that.
Broussard alone back in on 3rd and 4. Tolliver's pass batted down. Wilbur Marshall. It's amazing how Wilbur Marshall actually was complaining a bit about the move over to the strong side, and he's been playing sensational.
And a short, quick drop by Tolliver, rolling right towards the rookie Sims. Marshall wasn't near the quarterback, timed his leap just perfectly. Tolliver right now is only 4 for 10 for 42 yards in this red gun offense.
Ryan Mitchell. And what a move, if you will, a fake move by Mitchell.
Wow. They have got to replay that thing if they're going to call that a touchback. Unless he's ruling that it went over the pylon, because the pylon is part of the end zone.
And there's also a flag back here near midfield, Randy.
Got an illegal receiver downfield on the punting team.
Well, Dale Hamer has indeed been busy. Hammer time, if you will.
Member of the kicking team, number 65, illegally downfield, 5-yard penalty, repeat 4th down.
And 65 is Guy Bingham. Guy Bingham is not in the best of graces, if you will, with Jerry Glanville.
We talk about Jerry Glanville having a doghouse, you know, the master suite of the doghouse, and Guy Bingham went AWOL this week for a while to take care of some personal problems back at home, and just did make it back Friday for practice.
Was to have been gone one day, wound up being gone a couple of days.
Perfect situation for Fulhag to angle this ball out of bounds.
And Mitchell signals for the fair catch, and he does so at about the 15. So Washington will take over with 5:06 left in the first half. .506 left in the first half of play here at RFK. Washington on top of Atlanta 14-3.
And a note from down in New Orleans, that San Francisco Saint game. The Saints are now up 7-3. Walsh just hit Eric Martin with an 8-yard touchdown pass. 49ers got a field goal out of Kofor, but Kofor also missed a 44-yarder. That means he's missed 4 of his last 5. And there's the Falcons. Well, they're getting better at least. They're gaining yards. They went from minus to plus to plus. I mean, it's improving.
And you like improvement. 1st and 10 from the 15. Monk in motion. Bynum, the ball carrier. And Ernest Bynum up to about the 17. A gain of 2 on the play, upended by Brian Jordan. Will bring up a 2nd and 8. And there's the game Randy Cross was just talking about.
And that's the team, the New Orleans Saints, that these Washington Redskins had their eye on, looking over their shoulder. You know, right now, we're not talking about divisions. We're not talking about a lot of things, but I think the Redskins are concentrating right now on home field advantage. And that's their nearest pursuer.
Even at 9-0, they're only 1 game ahead of the Saints. 2nd and 8. Monk and Clark to the near side. Bynum. And Ernest Bynum bullying his way up near the 21 for a gain of 4, tackled by Rick Bryan, the 8th-year veteran out of Oklahoma.
And Bernie Kosar, going into this game, had that consecutive string without an interception, went into the game, was like 6 of 10 with 170 some odd yards and a couple touchdowns. It's official. He's now finally thrown an interception. It's been broken.
And Ernest Bynum is limping. And probably the most exciting running back in the Washington Redskins roster is heading in his place, Ricky Irvins.
But this is the guy, the power runner here for the Washington Redskins, the signature kind of guy that these Redskins have had for a long time now. You know, started with Riggins. They've had the big power backs. He is the guy. He's the one that softens things up so that Ricky Irvins comes in later with his quickness and hurts teams. Take one more look at here as he churns through this pile. Scott Case comes up and nails him. Boy, then a whole bunch of people fall right around those legs. Anything could have happened in there.
Well, to elaborate on your point, Ricky Irvins made the point that Ernest Bynum is the man that really does make it happen for him when he does come in. 3rd and 4. Irvins, the lone back. Sanders in motion. Here comes Scott Case. Going for Monk, and it's complete for the first down across midfield. And again, Tim McKyer defending. A 32-yard pass play from Mark Rippon to Art Monk, and there is a flag back near the 15-yard line, Randy.
But that's going to be holding against the Atlanta defense. They're bringing their full blitz, getting after Rippon, and they're going to hit him. But that hit is at a price because Tim McKyer is getting a little old, but he's trailing another receiver, and this time it was Art Monk. Here's Scott Case all the way out here. That's who they've called on this holding penalty. I'm sorry, not for the holding penalty. He's the one who puts a hit on Rippon. Ooh, gets him high, too. That's the easiest way to distract a quarterback on a throw, is to catch him high around the shoulders and the head. Try to make him flinch. But Rippon never takes his eyes off the receiver and hits Monk for an easy one.
Atlanta made no bones about it. They will try to do that to Rippon all day long. 3:17 left in a half. 1st and 10, Washington at Atlanta's 47. 3 tight ends. Play action. Going for Terry Orr. He's got it. Out of bounds at the 10. Terry Orr with his 2nd catch of the day.
And they've been big ones, both of them. Terry Orr working out of the right tight end. Comes down into this area. Watch him pass through there as he goes down the field. Wide open. Watch him break right there at the 30. And Rippon masterfully just lobs this thing over. Atlanta's getting so aggressive on the run. Rippon is really taking advantage of that aggressiveness.
On 1st down, this is Irvins, and Irvins down to about the 4.
Right now, Mark Rippon, 10 of 19 for 240 yards and 2 touchdowns. And almost 2.5 minutes left in this 2nd quarter. It would appear the Redskins are going to let this thing run down to the 2-minute warning. Just take time off the clock. That's their MO. They love to do that.
That's the 2-minute warning, so it'll be 2nd and goal from the 4 when we come back. Mark Rippon and the Redskins with the 2nd and goal from the 4. Both teams with the full complement of timeouts remaining. And the update on Ernest Biner, a sprained right knee. We'll find out if he was expected to play in the 2nd half. And boy, the Skins have had their share of sprained knees last week and this. Jim Lachey, Joe Jacoby.
It's that time of the year, James. Everybody's getting nicked up. And this won't be cute. This won't be fancy. Joe Bugle called it smash mouth football, but it's what Washington does best.
And Mark Rippon calling for a timeout. That will leave Washington with 2, and we'll take the break as well. Washington on top, 14-3. So Ricky Irvins was the lone back on the previous play. He's now on the sidelines, and Gerald Riggs, 3rd in the NFC with 7 touchdowns, is now the lone back. 2nd and goal. Rippon with the naked boot takes it in for the score. Touchdown, Washington.
Watch everybody in this Atlanta Falcons aggressive defense goes after the ball. Strong guys, the ball's with number 11, and even with a guy that runs like Mark Rippon, who kind of refers to himself as a statue at times back there, is going to score with that much room.
Low Miller puts Washington up by 18 with 1:55 left in a half.
Watch the linebackers, watch the line, everybody diving over the top, coming after the running back. Boy, what a good sell by Mark Rippon. Excellent job taking advantage of an overeager Atlanta defense.
And a good adjustment by Gibbs, bringing in Riggs in place of Irvins. Rippon, the beneficiary. Chafee still on his feet, gets it up near the 20 before being gang tackled by the Redskins. 1:47 left in the first half of play. Falcons trailing 21-3. And Jerry Glanville, who thought if they stayed close he might have a few surprises, is going to have to dig deep now.
Well, that last touchdown puts Glanville and the Falcons in a very unenviable position, and that's you're passing on every down. You might hit some quick draws and some runs for some yardage, but from here on out, the Falcons in this red gun have got to throw the ball.
Washington 4th in the NFL against the pass. 1st and 10 from the 21. The red gun package. Complete to Risen, and Risen out of bounds near the 28. Andre Collins runs him out of bounds. Coming up on the NFL Today Dockers halftime report, Greg and Terry will have all the scores, highlights, and latest information from around the league. It's the NFL Today Dockers halftime report coming up in just a few moments. Joe Gibbs, you don't see him smile too often, but believe me, he does have a smile inside.
And this is no time for the Redskins to relax. They got to pour it on here because Atlanta has the capabilities of scoring quickly.
And 2nd and 3. Complete to Pritchard for the first down across midfield. Fumble recovered by the Skins. A.J. Johnson. And Johnson gets it back to the 47, tackled by Andre Rison.
How often do you see this? A receiver running free, doesn't know there's somebody behind him. What's that guy thinking? I'm going to poke this ball out. Watch this ball right there. Heads up play. Ball comes ripped out. Ball comes loose. Johnson's right there. That's an easy one for Johnson. That's a gimme. And credit to Andre Rison, who comes back here to make this tackle. Otherwise, you're talking 6 points.
Confidence booster for Johnson, who's had a little difficulty reacclimating himself to the corner position. Irvins wrapped up in the backfield. Rick Bryan met him at the handoff. 1:13 left in the first half of play. A loss of 4 on the play.
Redskins have 2 timeouts left, and if I'm them, I want to keep testing these cornerbacks, specifically McKyer.
And here goes Ricky Sanders, and tipped by Tim McKyer. Well, Randy, you called it. Mark Rippon not letting up on McKyer at all.
And they're not gonna. They're gonna keep doing it in the second half until McKyer proves that they can't get behind him and they can't get deep. Because Sanders just has to adjust and slightly slow down here for that ball. If that ball is thrown out in front of him, that's another touchdown. And McKyer just did get that hand on it.
Third and 14 from the 44. And Clark can't find the handle. 56 seconds left to play in the first half. Washington commandingly so, 21-3 on top of the Falcons.
And Washington might have gotten a little cute and greedy there on that possession, James. They started with a cute little run where Rippon had a special little handoff for Irvin. That didn't work. Got a little greedy with the bomb and got a little cute again trying to drag underneath with Clark.
Kelly Goodburn on the front. And it comes to rest at about the 23. So Atlanta, with 46 seconds left to play in a half, will take over a 33-yard punt by Goodburn. Still to come, halftime with Greg and Terry. They'll take you around the league and let you know exactly what's taking place.
Well, James, people say, how can a team be 9-0? What are the secrets to being 9-0? This year, Washington has outscored their opponents in the second quarter 106-19.
I'd say that's pretty strong.
They must serve a hot lunch in that locker room at halftime. The guys looking forward to it.
Wilma Marshall serves lunch on Wednesdays when the team wins. Shrimp and scallops. Chafee, the lone back on 1st and 10 for Atlanta. And Bobby Wilson bullying his way through, the rookie out of Michigan State.
It's a shame the ball didn't move. and that unguided missile you saw rolling over Billy Joe Tolliver was Jamie Dukes, the center.
Unguided missile.
First down, Redskins.
Randy, now that is a big wow. A fumble is what was ruled on the field.
Well, let's take a look at Jamie Dukes working here against Wilson. Watch the ball. It's snapped. It's dropped. That was a fumble, but was there an offsides initially? Let's take another look at it. If they didn't call offsides, which they didn't against Wilson, that's a correct call. That is a fumble. It would seem, though, as that ball was moving, Wilson was making contact with the center, Jamie Dukes. Well, Jerry Glanville, if you've got some surprises and you got some tricks up your sleeves, I'd suggest snipers down here this close. 42 seconds left. You're giving Washington 3 free shots into the end zone.
You would suggest what, Randy? With 42 seconds left, 1st and 10, ball at the 19 of Atlanta. Rippon going for Clark. Touchdown. There is a flag on the play. Back at the 17. And we'll await the call.
But it's going to be against Atlanta. Defensive holding.
So the play stands as Gary Clark turns Bobby Butler and scores in the end zone.
Well, this first half ought to take a little swagger out of the collective walk of the Atlanta Falcons, the way this thing's gone so far. It's rally time in that locker room here in about 37 seconds.
The posse riding roughshod over the Falcons in the first half. And Low Miller boots Washington in front by the score of 28-3, and indeed, capital punishment is most appropriate.
And you saw the executioner right here, Mark Rippon. If this is capital punishment, at least it's painless because it's quick. One more time, you're going to see an unescorted Gary Clark coming free in the end zone here. Somebody messed up big time because one of the hundreds of people on the sidelines here were the nearest defenders to Gary Clark on that one. One more time, excellent protection by Rippon. Sidesteps a little bit of a rush. But look, he's looking back like there's got to be a flag. There's got to be somebody near me. Well, so far, he's had a complete game for most quarterbacks. And for a team that's known for pounding the ball and running things out, they're doing a heck of a job in the air.
Gary Clark, 3 catches for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns in one half. Peeper from his own 4. Across the 20 and hit hard and slowed up by Terry Orr, finished off by Sidney Johnson. So with 31 seconds left in the first half, Atlanta will take over at its own 20. Joe Gibbs, no doubt about it, his team most impressive in the first half, but he said, Randy, his job has been made tougher with his team's great start to keep them focused on the fact, let's not take mistakes lightly now.
Well, last week, 4 turnovers and 8 penalties almost cost him that game against Houston.
Four wideouts, the red gun package. Jumpy Getters, sack. Second sack of the afternoon for Washington. 26 on the season. And Jumpy Gathers, whom the coaching staff voted the team's defensive player of the week last week, of the game, rather, has 2 sacks on the season. And flags on a play as Fred Stokes is trying to get a little help pointing at Chris Hinton, saying,
well, Stokes came across, but Hinton flinched. We keep talking about flinches, but they work. You get an offensive guy to flinch, it's going to be a penalty. Well, the officials are meeting without the referee.
Offside, 60 of the defense, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Well, Fred Stokes did not win his argument. Take a look at the scores from around the league. You'll get plenty of embellishment on those scores from Greg Gumbel and Terry Bradshaw in New York coming up at halftime.
So Cincinnati and Sam White's got a taste of winning last week. Looks like they like it. They hit 17-6 at halftime over Pittsburgh.
2nd and 8. Ball at the 22. On the ground, Broussard. And Broussard has the first down. A flag on the play back at the 29. Steve Broussard running nicely for 18 yards.
That's right back there in the territory of a hold.
And that it is. So the 18 yards nullified.
Holding, number 75 of the defense. Repeat, second down.
6 seconds left in the first half. Jerry Glanville runs a tailback by committee, but Broussard has a pair of 100-yard games to his credit.
And in all respect to the referee, he announced 75 defense. Well, Eric Williams is hurt. He's not in the game. I think it might have been Chris Henning holding on that last play.
Second and 15. Running hard across the 20, and that'll do it for the first half. A miserable first half for Atlanta. We talked with the Falcons about how they watched a lot of that Giants-Redskins game. Hopefully they'll get inspiration to come back and put together a better second half. But right now, all Washington in the first half, 28-3. Start of the third quarter here in Washington. Pegram from the 10. And slowed up and finally dropped at the 24-yard line. Clarence Vaughn finally brought him down. And in just a few moments, we'll be switching many of you to Houston. Right now in the third quarter of that game, Dallas leads it 13-10. And of course, we'll keep you up to date with the score and the action taking place here in this game. Now, Jerry Glanville has often talked about how his team never quits. We'll find out what they're made of here in the second half. And Randy, kind of goes back to when we had the Falcons earlier this year. We've had them twice. And the overriding point that you made is you never know which Atlanta team will show up.
Well, I think the right Atlanta team showed up. They were emotionally ready. They were physically ready. They just ran into a buzzsaw. This is like Super Bowl 22. The Skins scoring 21 points in the second quarter.
Number 25, first and 10. Billy Joe Tolliver with time to pass. Looking for Haynes. He's got him. Touchdown, Atlanta. A 75-yard pass play. A quick strike from Billy Joe Tolliver to Michael Haynes.
And what happened in the first half was the Atlanta receivers were dropping the ball. They were fumbling the ball. Tolliver did his part. Billy Joe Tolliver did not have a bad first half. It's his receivers that let him down. But right here, Mayhew takes a chance at a dive. And it's all Haynes from there, who just glides into the end zone.
An impressive start to the second half on the part of the Falcons. Norm Johnson on for the point after. And it's good. So the Falcons close the gap to 18.
What makes this a big play? Watch Copeland, number 26, right here, come over and take Martin Mayhew out of this play. Just bad timing. He was way off. He was closer to the defender than he was to the offensive player. Even if he hadn't knocked down Mayhew, Haynes would have still scored easily.
What a first catch of the game for Michael Haynes. One play covering 75 yards, took all of 19 seconds. Norm Johnson kicks off. Ryan Mitchell from his own one. Across the 20. And Brian Mitchell late flag on the play as Mitchell was dropped at about the 24.
A little holding against the Redskin return team to push him back. And while they march that penalty off, let's take a look at the last touchdown. And what we really want to concentrate on is Copeland right here. Watch what he does. His reaction is fine. His timing is terrible. He's coming over to help on Martin Mayhew, who's working on Haynes, and he throws a perfect body block right here into Mayhew. Watch the body block. Perfect body block. But Mr. Copeland, that's Mr. Mayhew. He's one of your guys. And the only reason that play took 19 seconds to score is Michael Haynes could have crawled in from there. There was nobody within 25 yards of him.
Michael Haynes, the guy who caught the Hail Mary pass, the winning touchdown pass last week against the 49ers. First and 10 from the 9. Irvin. And Irvin's maybe 2 yards on the carry.
We've got a little news of NFL interest here in Green Bay, where Buffalo is playing the Packers. The Packers lead, the Buffalo Bills lead 21-10. Jim Kelly is out of that game with a possible hip injury, and Frank Reich is in at quarterback for the Buffalo Bills.
And speaking of injury, Redskins player Ron Middleton down on the field, sixth-year player out of Auburn. Middleton, ex-Falcon, who played in 86 and 87 with Atlanta. As a matter of fact, among the tight ends, a lot of back and forth with the Skins, away from the Skins, released, back. Ron Middleton 3 times. Terry Orr was with San Diego.
Middleton working at the left tight end position, working in right here. He's got that side facing to us right here and gets caught up crunched in the pile, and he's laying on the ground, but he is moving his head. He is moving around. As they examine him, you get caught in those piles. It's the easiest way in the NFL to get hurt.
You see Ron Middleton being helped to the Redskins locker room, was not able to put any weight on that left leg of his. And And we'll get an official report.
Like I said, James, you get caught up in those piles. Those bodies start crunching in from different angles, and those legs get twisted up. We just got handed a note from the New Orleans Superdome. The game is delayed right now. The fire department is in there. We had a firework display at halftime. There's fires on the field and on the roof inside the dome.
A little too real of a display. Monk to the near side. Sanders in motion. 2nd and 8, complete to Sanders. And Sanders is going to be short of the yardage necessary for the first down by about 2. We'll call it a 3rd and 1 coming up for Washington. Mark Rippon says his wife is able to enjoy the success that he's enjoying when she goes out in public nowadays.
Well, she not only enjoys the success, she's also been sort of a victim of the other end of it when people start expressing their opinions about her husband. But Mark says she doesn't hesitate getting right in people's faces when they do that.
3rd and 1. Rippon throws it as he's falling, incomplete, in the direction of Gary Clark. Art Monk was near as well. And as we mentioned in the first half, Ernest Biner left with a knee sprain, and it doesn't look as if he will return at all in the second half.
That was a good job by Atlanta of just getting enough pressure on Rippon with the coverage downfield finally being sufficient, and they were able to completely disrupt that play.
Kelly Goodburn at his own 2. Ryan Jordan from the 44. And roped from behind by Sidney Johnson. Boy, Johnson doing a nice job of auditioning for the rodeo. On to Jack Kent Cook talking to his general manager, Charlie Casserly. And of course, the vice president, Dan Quayle, in the box. The hardest ticket is not necessarily getting into RFK, but into Jack Kent Cook's box. First and 10, Atlanta at the 46 of Washington. Tracy Johnson, the lone back. Play action. Incomplete as Fred Stokes got a hand on it. Randy, I was teasing about your golf game. Dan Quayle has a pretty decent golf game, I hear.
Well, he is a golfer. I mean, when you hit the ball like me, I'm a hacker. You know, I can do anything. This is the guy that's been playing all his life, and it looks like it. He's got a great swing.
Defensive backs in for the Skins. 2nd and 10. 13-18. Left in the 3rd period of play. Incomplete to Michael Haynes. Well, Randy, if there was any concern about Billy Joe Tolliver being able to squeeze and grip that ball because of that fractured thumb, it doesn't seem to be the case at all.
No, he is throwing the ball extremely well right now. And like we mentioned, the first half, his receivers weren't catching the ball. This half, a quick hit to Michael Haynes. But here's a test for the young left tackle, Joe Sims. Pass protection on this play. The crowd is loud, and the Skins will be coming.
Falcons 1 of 6 third down conversions. With time, throws it complete to Haynes for the first down and more. Inside the 15, finally stopped by Martin Mayhew. A 30-yard pass play from Billy Joe Tolliver to Michael Haynes.
And it would appear, we mentioned earlier, they don't have many plays in this Falcons playbook, but it's up to the receivers to make the reads on the coverages. And Michael Haynes makes the read. Tolliver got the protection to enable him to get that far down the field. And if not, for an Edwards trip up right there, that might have been another long touchdown for Michael Haynes.
Haynes, 2 catches 105 yards. Chafee, the lone setback in the red gun package. 1st and 10 at Washington's 15. Touchdown, Atlanta, Andre Rison. Randy, we asked amongst ourselves what in the world could Jerry Glanville say at halftime. He said something right.
If you had to tell that team anything, you had to tell them, look, guys, you're a lot better than you're showing right now. Just do what you do best. And this is what the red gun offense does best, is get the ball downfield to these 4 wide receivers.
Norm Johnson on for the point after. And it's good. So the Falcons have cut into the Redskins' lead with 2 touchdowns. The Redskins lead it now 28-17. And there is a tough-nosed quarterback there.
He is a fired-up guy. He says, I'm the 2nd toughest quarterback in the NFL besides Jim Kelly. And that's giving Kelly something. He gets good protection. He steps up. And like we said, it's up to the receivers to read the coverage. And Rison finds himself a nice little pocket right over the ball. The linebacker Govea drops. He goes back, but there's Rison coming right in there, working against Copeland, the safety.
Andre Rison, who doesn't particularly like hearing the name Jerry Rice so often, certainly has to acknowledge the greatness of Jerry Rice, but he thinks he's right there step for step with him.
Well, the 3-year record, most catches in your first 3 years is 212. Now, Rison is on a pace to break that record. He keeps bringing this up. The only argument I have about why people mention Jerry Rice is in his 7th year, and he has over 90 touchdowns to his credit. 94 to be exact. So, I mean, Andre, you're a good wide receiver, but unless you start putting up some serious points on the board, you're a possession receiver.
Brian Mitchell from his own 5. Across the 20, the 30. And Mitchell tripped up around the 38-yard line by Norm Johnson. A 35-yard return by Brian Mitchell. Next week here on CBS, it's doubleheader Sunday with 4 games early, featuring Washington at Pittsburgh, and at 4 p.m. Eastern, it's either Dallas at New York or the Rams at Detroit. Earlier this year, Jimmy Johnson's Cowboys won their biggest game of his 3-year stint. In the 3rd quarter, Dallas's defense came up with a big play on this fumble recovery and a touchdown run by Ray Horton. And then in the 4th quarter, Troy Aikman hit Michael Irvin. They go on to take it 21-16 over New York. This is Ricky Irvin. Irvin run out of bounds at about the 46.
Well, that last touchdown seems to be a bit of a wake-up call for these Washington Redskins, who came out rather lethargic early here in the first half. You can tell by the way that offense is bouncing around right now. They're going to try to just come out, re-control this game, and pound the ball on the ground.
All marked at the 47, an 8-yard run by Ricky Irvin. 2nd and 2 for Washington. 11:47 left in the 3rd period of play. This is Irvin. And Irvin up near the first down marker. Let's check down outside the Skins locker room with Leslie Visser.
JB, a couple of updates on a couple of injuries. Ernest Biner had his right knee sprained. As you know, he had it iced and wrapped, and he won't be playing for the rest of the game. Tight end Ron Middleton, in the middle of a pile, got too much pressure on his left fibula. They've just taken him inside to x-ray it. JB?
All right, Leslie, thank you very much. And Joe Gibbs and staff now will have to see exactly what their bright youngster from USC, Ricky Irvin, can do. As you take a look at the measurement here on the field, inches shy.
Just a little short. You got to think Atlanta, much like they were down at the end of the 2nd quarter in that goal line situation, are going to be just going like crazy, going after the football. What a situation here for a play action. I know it's a bit of a gutsy call, but 3rd and 1.
Receiver 61.
61 is Mark Addix, the 6th-year player out of Baylor, who filled in for Joe Jacoby last week in the second half at right tackle. Gerald Riggs, the back and the ball carrier, and has the first down. He's romping. Dragged down at the 25 by Brian Jordan, and there is a flag at the point of the tackle. Probably a face mask.
It looked like that right arm was flailed in there by Scott Case. Could have been a face mask.
Face mask on the tackle, number 40, 5 yards from the end of the run, first down.
That was Brian Jordan, got flagged there for that face mask. Watch this hole open up. Left side, Donaldson, 42, gets kicked out by Terry Orr, and now there is nothing in front of Riggs but that goal line. Great job of effort by Jordan to get there, but you saw that right arm come in there, just rake right over the face mask of Gerald Riggs. We'll see it another time. Shelley's not going to catch him. Jordan's got the angle. Look at that hand. He's grabbing anything he can get to bring Riggs down there.
From the 18, Irvins. And Irvins maybe back to the line of scrimmage. Looks like he's lost one on the play. We'll bring up a 2nd and 11. Brian Jordan along with Jesse Tuggle on the stop. Gerald Riggs, the career rushing leader for the Falcons. Used in mostly short yardage situations for the Skins. He'd love to play more. Incomplete, intended receiver, Ricky Irvins.
And that man right there is the reason that Gerald Riggs is not seeing much action. Joe Gibbs has elevated Irvins to the number 2 running back spot in front of Riggs.
And Russ Grimm, the 4-time Pro Bowler, 11th year vet, is limping.
That's a bad one for the Skins because they're already missing Jim Lachey at left tackle, and Grimm was in there replacing him.
Grimm was too happy just to be playing. So Randy, if in fact Grimm cannot go, who do you expect to make the adjustment over on that side?
I would imagine Mark Addix, who played right tackle last week for Jacoby, and you see him right there, number 61 is going to be in there playing next to McKenzie. And that's a real challenge for an offensive lineman. You're going from the right side to the left side. It doesn't sound like much, but it's a completely different, it's like looking at something in the mirror. You're doing it completely backwards from the way you're used to. And you can tell Grimm suffering a little pain right there.
Grimm was teasingly saying how he would be the shortest tackle in the NFL at 6'3", but he is powerful, 32 years old. Had 113 NFL starts under his belt and did an excellent job in relief last week. So Russ Grimm being helped off the field, and Mark Addix indeed heads on to take his place at left tackle. A very important position, to say the least, from the quarterback's perspective.
If you're Mark Rippon, it's a very important position because that's where the guys you can't see are.
3rd and 11. Ball at the 19. 10-19 left in the 3rd quarter of play. Irvins, the lone back. Going up top. Touchdown, Washington. Art Monk. And there is a flag.
Appears that flag's going to be against Mitchell, number 36, on interfering with Monk in the end zone.
6 catches for 100 yards on the afternoon for Art Monk.
Defensive pass interference, number 36. That penalty is declined. The receiver was forced out of bounds. Touchdown.
Low Miller on for the point after. And Low Miller makes it 35-17. Washington. 10-13 left in the third quarter of play.
Well, we talked about the importance of not having Deion Sanders in there. Well, they picked on Tim McKyer, and there's Art Monk using that double move we talked about. Mitchell was all over him, bumping him, hitting him, but you don't disrupt the concentration of an Art Monk.
You're watching CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League.
Wet and cold, but Washington is hot. 35-17 over Atlanta, and that man is hot. 6 catches for 100 yards. Certainly can't forget the touchdown, the obvious. Pegram from the 4. Danny Copeland slowed him up. Alvoid Mays finished him off.
Let's take another look at that touchdown with Mitchell working against Monk right up here. What you're going to see is, I called it a double move. We've heard it referred to as a stop and go. Because here's the stop right now, and then comes the go. Look at that hesitation. Mitchell bites, and he's got to interfere with Monk to have any chance of stopping that play.
The posse of Monk, Clark, and Sanders had 19 catches last week against the Oilers. They've got 11 combined today. And Terry Orr, the tight end for the Skins, auditioning for a spot in the posse. He's got 2 catches, including a touchdown. 1st and 10 from the 14. Rozier. And Rozier takes it up to the 20. 6 yards picked up on a play. Charles Mann, you saw leave the field in the first half. Hyperextended his right knee. Return is doubtful. Charles Mann indicated he was going to lead by example all season long, and he's done it thus far. As you take a look at Russ Grimm, the 11th year pro who left limping. 2nd and 4, 9:22 left in the third. Rozier. And Rozier for the first down. A.J. Johnson on the tackle. Jerry Glanville likes to run a number of different backs at you, Randy.
Well, he likes to use Pegram. He likes to use Rozier. He'll use Chafee. He'll do all sorts of different things. This is his tough guy, though. Jerry Glanville, like we said, thinks he's the toughest guy in the NFL. But one thing Rozier does do on occasion, Rozier will put the ball on the ground when he forgets about those mechanics and holding on.
1st and 10 from the 26. Looking for Rison, incomplete, off the fingertips. Brad Edwards on the coverage.
As Billy Joe Tolliver points to himself like that, talking to Andre Rison, he's saying that's my fault. He threw that ball just a little bit too high. It would have been a fabulous catch if Rison could have come down with that one. Billy Joe's not having a terrible day. I mean, he's 10 of 19, 202 yards and a touchdown. And the stats would have been even better if he hadn't had those 3 drops and Pritchard doesn't fumble that ball in the second quarter right there in the last 2 minutes of the half.
And he's one guy who will never make excuses for anything. 2nd and 10. Rozier. First down, Mike Rozier. So the 7th-year veteran out of Nebraska at 5'10", 213, bullying his way an 11-yard run.
We mentioned that Charles Mann is out, and that defensive left side is where you normally would find Charles Mann. And the Falcons are taking advantage of the fact he's not there. A good double team block by Hinton and Bruce, the converted linebacker. But that wasn't anything fancy there. Rozier saw a crack and just ran north and south straight upfield.
8 carries for 40 yards on the afternoon for Mike Rozier. Ball at the 38. 1st and 10 for the Falcons. And the Falcons call a timeout, leaving them with 2. June Jones talking to Billy Joe Tolliver. And don't forget, coming next here on CBS is the Amoco Cintel Championship. 4th round action taking place. Jim Thorpe is the 3rd round leader. And you'll see all the action right here on CBS.
You notice how cool and soothing that music is when we run a golf promo. You know, NFL football, it's bam, 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 bam. It's nice melodic music you play when you're talking about golf.
I love the announcers with the soothing tones as well. Jim Nance and Vern Lundquist.
They ought to have heckling in that sport. Look at Dion. He puts something else on every time we see him. He's got the hood up now. He's got the gloves on.
Deion Sanders missing today because of that deep 5 bruise. 1st and 10 from the 38. Tolliver with all kinds of time finds Andre Rison, who drops it. And open Rison. A very catchable ball.
Well, we saw Billy Joe Tolliver pointing at himself like that's my fault a couple passes ago. Rison should be coming back to the huddle pointing at himself because he should have had that pass. Tolliver had the calm. He had the patience to sit back there while people were buzzing around him. He threw a good pass to Rison.
Second and 10. Haynes and Rison to the near side. Rozier, the ball carrier. Not a lot doing that time. Rozier ahead for 2. Will bring up a 3rd and 8. Jumpy gathers. And Andre Collins. And Jumpy gathers one strong individual indeed. Says he can rep 470 at least 10 times.
I couldn't do 470 would help. Ever.
Marshall, sack. Sack of the afternoon for Washington. 27 on the season, 2.5 for Wilbur.
Here comes Wilbur right here, working against that left side of the Falcons line. Sims, the rookie, gets off late, looks a little confused as to who exactly it is he has. He gets some hands on him, but that's about it. Pretty much unimpeded. Tolliver's lucky he didn't get a helmet in the back there because Marshall had a clear road to him.
Jorge, not a good punt. Skins will take over at about the 32, a 35-yard punt by Scott Fulhagen. Wilbur Marshall, I'm often talking about his expertise in the martial arts, and he plays with reckless abandon on the field.
This game is presented by authority of the National Football League, and the CBS telecast is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of CBS, the Washington Redskins, and the National Football League is prohibited.
carry up near the 35. A pickup of 3 will bring up a 2nd and 7. Ricky Irvin's a very delightful young man who, I guess, speaks in glowing terms about the veterans, especially Ernest Biner. I thought it might have just been him being polite about the guys ahead of him, but he means it.
Well, offensive line coach Jim Hannafin told us that Biner's kind of taking this guy under his wing, has him over to the house, watches films with him, and has really helped him get the whole concept of blitz pickup, how to get the blitzes.
Running ahead for about 4.
Well, if this is a fight, James, you'd say Washington keeps using their jab, which is a running game. They're jabbing. But as Atlanta's found out several times, you better watch out for what's in the other hand, because it's been Gary Clark, Art Monk, Ricky Sanders, and that big hook's been getting them.
Wasn't it delightful to hear how Ricky Irvins was talking about the difference in the size of the line from training camp with the rookies and the veterans?
A huge difference. The holes. Because in the hole, you get 5 yards before anybody touches you when our veterans are in there.
3rd and 3 from the 39. Rippon complete for the first down at midfield to Ricky Sanders. 11 yards picked up on that pass play.
And as they picked a little bit on McKyer in the first half, it seems Rippon and company have found a guy in Mitchell, 36. They like to have somebody working against them. And in that case, Sanders right there.
Sanders cannot be forgotten about. Clark and Monk get an awful lot of visibility and attention, but Sanders just as dangerous. 1st and 10 from midfield. 4:10 left in the 3rd period of play. Irvin's ahead for 3. We'll bring up a 2nd and 7. Washington on top, 35-17. Skins trying to stay undefeated.
The biggest difference here in Atlanta, with Atlanta defense, is the rushing defense. Take a look at where they've fallen from 3rd last year in the NFL all the way down to 25th. And a lot of that is just attitude. You can't say it's their techniques. You can't say it's their system. The guys just have not had the proper attitude to stop the run. And right now, they're getting pounded.
Number 47, 2nd and 7. Rippon, 7-step drop. Throws it low to Art Monk, who was wide open and certainly would have had the first down, but the pass a little too low. Rippon under some pressure. Torrey Epps specifically. A wet packed house here at RFK. 55,000 plus on hand. Atlanta trailing the Skins by 18. 3:19 left in the 3rd quarter of play.
And the key to this game, James, has been a 2nd quarter explosion by the Redskins. 211 total yards and 21 points in that little 15-minute period.
3rd and 7. Warren in motion. Incomplete, batted down, and it looked like Elbert Shelley with a basketball high jump move there to bat it down. Elbert Shelley talked about how many fans don't recognize how much of a student you have to be to play this game.
Well, I think a lot of it's got to do with people like us. You know, we're always talking about what great athletes and what great leapers and runners these guys on defense are. A defensive playbook is every bit as thick, every bit as impressive. Oh, you get knocked out getting hit in the chest like that by a Mark Rippon pass. But defensive players do every bit, if not more, studying than the offense.
Flags on the play. I think Elbert Shelley had a bullet vest on that time.
Encroachment, number 56 in the defense. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
That's Darian Connor, the 2nd-year player out of Jackson State. He's playing with that shield covering that eye where he had that injury, Randy. Blown eye socket.
That sounds like a serious injury.
Sounds nasty, doesn't it?
Gosh.
for the fair catch, and he does so at the 5. 37-yard punt. Randy, New Orleans defense gets talked about a lot, but Washington has done the job this year as well.
Well, this is a team that has won 2 Super Bowls in those 2 strike years there, as you see. And this year, they're way ahead. Everybody wants to talk about ripping. They want to talk about the running backs. They want to talk about the wide receivers. But I think the reason this team is 9-0 is the job this defensive unit is doing.
The Saints have a league-low 97 points allowed going into today's game. Washington, 108, so an 11-point difference.
And there's the man right there, Mr. Jack Kent Cook.
Mr. Jack Kent Cook.
Who should get the credit for everything that goes on here at Washington. He's the guy that signs the checks, and he is also the gentleman that okays everything.
And you know why I put a double Mr. there, don't you? Mistakenly called him Jack Kent Cook one year. Joe Gibbs says, I call him Mr. Bobby Mitchell says, I call him Mr. First and 10 from the 5. Rozier up to the 7. A gain of 2 on the play. Monte Coleman. You really like Monte Coleman. I mean, he's a guy who's been around for a while too, 13 years, and still very, very effective.
Well, that was a good example of the spring still left in this guy's legs. If he doesn't get Rozier there, he's going to have a 15 to 25-yard run. Monte Coleman manages to come around a pile and drag Rozier down from behind.
In magnificent shape.
And just a little note for that game down there in Dallas. Dallas and Houston are tied at 16 apiece. Al Del Greco, the new kicker signed by Houston, is 3 for 3 today.
From the 6, 2nd and 8. Looking up top. Incomplete for Michael Haynes as Edwards came in with the hit just at the point the ball was on the fingertips. Brad Edwards, the free safety out of South Carolina.
Well, we saw Copeland came in a little bit off before when he knocked Martin Mayhew off. Well, here's Edwards timing it just perfectly to break this one up. Oh, you can't tell me Michael Haynes doesn't see Edwards the entire way. But to his credit, those arms never shortened up. Those alligator arms come out sometimes. They kind of telescope back in when they see those DBs coming.
Falcons are 2 of 8 third down conversions. And the Falcons call timeout. That leaves them with 2:14 left in a third quarter play. And Glanville's bunch down to 1 timeout.
Well, you hate to see your team burn off timeouts, especially, you know, this late in the third quarter as we are. But Tolliver made a smart decision. If he sees something he's unfamiliar with, he sees something he's not completely sure about, you don't run a play when you're backed up like this and you're going to be throwing the ball out of your own end zone.
There's Brett Favre, the rookie out of Southern Mississippi, number 4, and June Jones, the guy doing the talking in the middle, the assistant head coach of offense. He really likes Billy Joe Tolliver a lot. Thinks this kid is going to be excellent.
He's strong and he's extremely tough.
Look at that Tampa Bay score.
Well, Tampa, how about this one? Indianapolis is leading the Jets 28-24.
Wow.
28-27 now. 8 minutes and 25 seconds.
Who'd have thunk it? Incomplete. A.J. Johnson defending Andre Rison. There's a late flag at the point of the tackle.
That is a very late flag. And A.J. Johnson can't believe it if it's going to be on him. He must have had that flag stuck way down deep in his pocket, and it took him a couple extra seconds to dig that thing out.
The heel of his shoe.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 47. First down. The spot of the foul.
Circle things right out here. Let's keep an eye on this action. Let's see if we can help the officials out here. He had a hand on him, and he bumps him, and he bumps him again.
What do you think, Randy?
I don't know. I don't see much right there. That looks like they were both looking back at the ball, running at the same time. That looked incidental contact to me.
Now A.J. Johnson's got to have a short memory. First and 10, ball at the 34, 2:06 left in the third. Rozier. And Rozier up to within about a yard of the first down marker. Tackled by Anthony Johnson. Randy, let's see if we can get a better angle on that.
It was hard to tell, but it looked like there was some contact as the ball was in the air. Okay, yeah, I agree now. I mean, he's coming in from behind before that ball ever got to Andre Rison. That was a good call.
And Anthony, A.J. Johnson, looking to get back in the groove after missing several games with a wrist injury.
And that was a good example of what I talked about, body position for a wide receiver. Rison's body was between Johnson and the ball, and Johnson had to go through him and interfere to try to break that up.
2nd and 1 from the 43. On the ground, Chafee bounces off of a wall. Fumble. The whistle blew it dead. Chafee gets a break. The whistle blew it dead, so no fumble on the play. Joe Gibbs wanted to fumble.
Well, he was clearly still churning his legs, but he wasn't going anywhere. His forward motion was stopped. Chafee runs right into a pile, right in the back of Houston Hoover and everybody else up there in front. He's stopped now. They're moving him backwards, and the ball comes out. Forward progress was stopped. Whistle was blown.
No gain on the play. 3rd and 1. 26 seconds left in the quarter. Complete for the first down. Rison, defended by Darrell Green. And you see the clock ticking down, and that will probably be the last play of the third quarter. So that's the end of the third quarter with the score: Washington 35, Atlanta 17. Our coverage will continue after this message from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
We see Jerry Glanville standing on the sideline in the lightly misting cold rain in his what he refers to as his High Plains drifter jacket. And Joe Gibbs, he's got to be a little bit concerned right now. This game is far from over. 18-point lead. Atlanta's got the ball. They've shown the capabilities of moving it, but more importantly, Atlanta's shown the capabilities of scoring quickly.
1st and 10 for the Falcons. Ball at the 48. Start of the fourth quarter play. Billy Joe Tolliver going for Rison, overthrows him, being defended by A.J. Johnson and Brad Edwards.
And we talked about this offense sort of coming alive here in the second half. First half, they had 106 yards total offense. In the third quarter, they had 156 yards total offense just in the third quarter. Those 75 came on that one touchdown to Michael Haynes on their first play.
They'll take it either way. Take a look at Mike Weaver. He's played every position virtually on the field. Center, guard, tight end, center in practice. Second and 10. Tolliver complete to Rison for the first down at the 32. Andre Rison, who came into the game with a swollen elbow, sustained in a nightclub disagreement, if you will, coming up with that 21-yard reception.
And he's a guy who's shown today he can get deep, and he can also excel at these kind of passes, the short possession type things. Tolliver shows a lot of guts and hangs in the pocket and shrugs off a blitzer and gets that pass to Rison.
6 catches for 66 yards. I mentioned that Rison had that swollen left elbow sustained when he was allegedly knocked down the stairs at a nightclub in Atlanta. 1st and 10, ball at the 31 of Washington. Billy Joe Tolliver. Incomplete. There's a flag near the 24-yard line.
That'll be against the Skins, holding.
Holding. Number 20 of the defense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
It's Alvoid Mays. And boy, Joe Gibbs' lips more pursed than before. Mays, second-year player out of West Virginia. So Atlanta, the ball at the 26, 1st and 10. Rozier. Not much doing. A yard maybe on the play to the 25.
And James, we talked about Mike Ruther being in there. He's in there now at right guard for Bill Fralick, who had a little arthroscopic surgery on his left elbow. And obviously that thing is still pretty banged up. I saw him in the lobby of the hotel today. He says, well, at least last week it was frozen almost. There was that fragments inside of it. I couldn't move it. They scoped it. They opened it up. But Ruther's had to substitute for Bill. Obviously that arm's broken down a little bit.
Just gets rid of it. Is it caught or intercepted? Touchback. Excellent job on the part of Alvoid Mays.
And I'm sure Billy Joe Tolliver would like to have that pass back. Underthrew that pass.
Tolliver was under some heat when he got rid of it and couldn't put enough oomph into it. And Mays comes away with it.
We talk about defensive backs having to have a short memory. Mays called for holding on the last play. Works in front of Pritchard there. Gets between Pritchard and the ball this time. And makes a very acrobatic catch. Faked out Billy Joe Tolliver because he thinks he's got a touchdown. Look at that reaction. Nope. Sorry, Billy Joe. Interception.
This game summary is sponsored by McLean Deluxe.
The posse continuing to run roughshod over the Falcons. And Randy, to use your boxing analogy, Washington almost had Atlanta for the knockout in the first half. Atlanta's trying to come back.
Well, they've got them set up, but they haven't been able to put them away yet. They haven't been able to put that knockout punch on the Falcons.
1st and 10 from the 20. On the ground, Irvins. And Irvins is tackled by Jesse Tuggle, a loss on the play of about 2.
And the Falcons are using Jesse Tuggle all over the field today, not just lining him up at his normal inside linebacker position. He's also been playing a little bit of outside linebacker where he played last year.
Tuggle, nicknamed the Hammer, has a kid named Baby Hammer.
You see Doug Shively, the man behind the defense down in Atlanta. Specialty is the linebacker. Speaks rather glowingly of Tuggle and his work habits.
2nd and 12 from the 18. Rickett going up top for Clark.
He's open.
He's got him. It's a foot race. Touchdown, Washington. 82 yards.
James, I think that was that knockout punch we mentioned just a while earlier. They had him set up. They lowered the guard, and that right cross over the top. Bang.
Low Miller bangs home the extra point. 42-17. Washington.
From the ground level. Watch this thing happen after the catch. Gary Clark cleanly beats Elbert Shelley. Now it's a race. Shelley gets his shot. He can't trip him up. Case gets his shot. He can't get him. And he's got one guy in the background rooting for him hard. And that's the guy that threw him the pass. Mark Rippon having a career day. 5 touchdowns, 378 yards.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Toyota and their quality line of 1992 cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. And by McDonald's, getting more for your money. That's McDonald's today.
Eric Pegram with a good return up to about the 28-yard line for Atlanta. So the Falcons take over. 12:03 left in a game, trailing Washington 42-17. Gary Clark with a simply sensational day. 4 catches, 203 yards. A career high for him is 241. He may get it before the game is over. A long day for Jerry Glanville. A strong day for Joe Gibbs. First and 10 from the 28. Chafee, the lone back. Tim Johnson looked to have gotten to Tolliver for the sack. Sack number 4 on the day, 28 for the Skins, and Johnson in pain.
And we'll have another look at that touchdown. Watch Shelley and Clark. We've talked about coverages. We've talked about all kinds of techniques. This is pure speed. Shelley is beaten the first 10 yards. He trails now by at least 2, and then Clark catches the ball and opens it up from there. Just a case of pure speed, scoring easily.
One of the things that Joe Gibbs liked about Gary Clark when he first saw him is how he auditioned, if you will, for the Skins, coming from the USFL, injured at that time, Randy.
He's always had a history of chronic kind of hamstring problems. Says they'll always bother me. Obviously, they don't slow him down. They might bother him, but they don't slow Gary Clark down.
While the Skins tend to Johnson, we'll take a break. Washington convincingly in front. A good sign for Skins fans. Tim Johnson up and moving okay, and Randy, it looked like that left arm or hand of his, and as you've indicated already, so many crazy things take place in the pile.
And so far the piles, or somewhere around the piles, have claimed 3 other Redskins. You got Biner, you've got Mann, and you have Middleton so far today. This has been a big day so far for the Redskins, but at what price?
So it's Stokes, Wilson, Gathers, and Jason Buck, the front 4 for Washington. 2nd and 14 from the 24. Rozier, the lone back. Here comes Stokes, and Stokes blasts Billy Joe Tolliver, who had to get rid of it, incomplete to Mike Rozier. Tolliver, to his credit, back up in a hurry. He's one guy, he says, hey, you won't catch me on a stretcher if I can help it. I'm from Texas.
Well, this offensive line for the Falcons were blocking effectively earlier in this game, but right now, as you see Stokes lined up way out left, number 60. Well, that was a fine effort by Hinton. He just sort of put his hands on him and ran out on the screen. One of the pretenses of a screen, you've got to put your hands on the defender and stop his forward motion. You cannot just unleash him on the quarterback like Chris Hinton just did.
3rd and 14. And a timeout.
That's their last timeout.
For Atlanta, that does it. That was the last Falcons timeout. Washington with the full complement. Speaking of Washington with its full complement of timeouts, Joe Gibbs, one very alert coach with a staff. As a matter of fact, last week it was his staff that alerted him on a big play, Randy.
And that was in that Houston Oilers game. They alertly called a timeout and got that team off the field and delayed things just enough for a review. The review went against Houston, and everything worked out fine for Redskins.
Larry Peccatello, the man making him aware of it. Tonight on 60 Minutes, details with pictures. One of the tragedies of the Gulf War. Americans killed by Americans by mistake. It's a story you won't soon forget, followed by Murder, She Wrote. Then the Sunday night movie, My Son Johnny. That's all coming up tonight, right here on CBS. From the 24, 3rd and 14, 11:55 left in the game. Looking for Haynes, incomplete. Defended by Martin Mayhew. There's Billy Joe Tolliver. Live in the nation's capital, RFK, 55,000 plus on hand, trying to cheer the Skins on to a perfect 10-0 mark. They're well on their way, leading Atlanta 42-17, 11:50 left in the fourth quarter of play. James Brown along with Randy Cross. Scott Forhay going to punt for Atlanta. And Mitchell signals for the fair catch at about the 35.
And we've seen Joe Gibbs' Washington Redskins team just be brutally methodical about beating this Atlanta Falcons team. And Mark Rippon, with his 5 touchdowns and 358 yards, heads back out in the field for more.
Don't forget, coming up at the conclusion of this football game, it'll be golf here on CBS. Action featuring 40-plus years of age. The Amoco Centel Championship, and Jim Thorpe is the leader after 3 rounds. You'll see final round coverage right here on CBS as you look at June Jones and Billy Joe Tolliver on the Falcons sidelines. 1st and 10 for Washington at the 35. Urbans. All tied from behind by Tim Green, 60-year player out of Syracuse. No gain on the play.
And New Orleans needs to keep pace here with these Washington Redskins. Win this game to stay 1 game behind them.
Battle of Texas, boy. Battle in Texas.
That's 2 in a row. Philadelphia. That's a big one there for the Philadelphia Eagles, as banged up as they are. But Sam Weiss might be headed for 1 and 9, and Tampa beats up on him.
Minus Chandler.
And look at this one. Indianapolis over the Jets. Jets had to go to overtime last week to beat the Green Bay Packers.
Ricky Irvin's ahead for a couple that time.
And a loss to the Indianapolis Colts ought to cool a lot of the playoff talk in the New York Jets area. And it has been punishment by the Washington Redskins. They've done everything right so far today against this Atlanta Falcons team.
From the 36. 3rd and 9. Rippon looking for Monk. Monk with the move. He's open. Flag on the play. Monk heading for pay dirt. Touchdown, Washington. There is a flag on the play.
That'll be holding on Mitchell. I think that score is going to count.
And if it stands, it'll be a 64-yard touchdown pass from Rippon to Monk. And Brian Mitchell, the rookie from BYU. Boy, it was McKyer in the first half being educated. It's the rookie this time.
Pass interference on the defense. Penalty is declined. Touchdown.
And with that play, Mark Rippon, 16 of 31 with a career high 442 yards passing and 6 touchdowns.
It's an ugly day weather-wise in Washington, an ugly one for Jerry Glanville. A good one for Mark Rippon.
Well, he might keep that jacket on too. I suspect we'd see Stan Humphrey, the backup quarterback here.
It's been that kind of a season for Mark Rippon. A Redskin record, 6 touchdowns.
Well, going into this game, you hadn't heard much posse talk, but I got a funny feeling you're going to hear a lot more about the posse. You saw Mitchell fall on the ground 36 after he had bumped illegally on Monk, and Monk just keeps right on going.
Well, the posse repeatedly has indicated they've not gone anyplace.
Rippon takes advantage, sees the mistake, sees Mitchell fall down, puts that, he just lobbed that thing. It was like a mortar round, but he put that thing in there just at the perfect position for Monk to catch that one. Monk now 7 catches for 164 yards and 2 touchdowns. See him work right here against Mitchell. Watch Mitchell fall. Comes the contact, illegally downfield, hitting him like that. He can't do it. And Monk gets catch number 7, second touchdown.
And Pegram decides to bring it out. And Eric Pegram, alias the Pilgrim, brings it back to 25 after starting 2 to 3 yards deep in his own end zone.
This might be one of those games that Jerry Glanville's better off not showing his team any of the films from. Maybe next Saturday night show them some of the highlights from this game, which would be a short reel, but don't show them the film.
Why not? Why not?
This is ugly. Why reinforce the negative? And watch Rippon talking to the guys on the sideline. Everybody loves you when you're a quarterback and you're playing right now like Mark Rippon.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been a favorite pastime of so many people in Washington to bash Mark Rippon, but his numbers, not only today, but since he's been a starter, speak for themselves. He'll be 29-11 as a starter. Billy Joe Tolliver going up top for Broussard, and Broussard had it momentarily, and he and Edwards go at it.
That's a little frustration talking there by Broussard. It was a nice play by Martin Mayhew to come in and knock that ball away. Right here, the right hand of Martin Mayhew just does tip and distract Broussard on that play, as Edwards comes in and gets a little contact that maybe Broussard didn't appreciate. Got a final down in New Orleans. The Saints keep pace with these Washington Redskins and beat the 49ers 10-3.
9:41 left in the game. Skins 49-17 over Atlanta. 2nd and 10 from the 26. Complete to Risen, and Risen dragged down about 3 yards shy of the first down marker. Well, Randy, you had said coming into the game that this Atlanta defense was the kind that might push you for a loss, but they give up the big things.
You got to be patient. It's feast or famine, and today it has been big time feast for the Redskins. And going into this game, look what they've given up. 97 yards. I mean, that reads impressively going into this game, and that's not counting the plays we've seen today. Nothing small about these. This has all been Rippon, 3 to Clark, and 2 to Monk touchdown-wise.
That Rippon 82-yarder, a career best for him. 3rd and 3. Billy Joe Tolliver going up top. Incomplete. Intended receiver was Haynes. Now Boyd Mays and Darrell Green conversing over there. Green telling him, hey, don't get me like Copeland did earlier. I can handle it by myself. So Ryan Mitchell waiting back at his own 25 for this Forehead punt with 9:03 left in the game. And Mitchell signals for the fair catch, taking no chance with the rain coming down a little stronger. Next Sunday, it's doubleheader action on the NFL on CBS. Game 1 features the currently undefeated Washington Redskins and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then the Dallas Cowboys battle the New York Giants in Game 2. Some of you, of course, will see the Rams at Detroit. The last word before kickoff turn to the NFL today at 12:30 Eastern with Greg, Terry, Leslie, and Pat.
You know, those Dallas Cowboys, they want to consider themselves a playoff team. They want to challenge these Washington Redskins. And what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to win this game today in Houston. They have to win that game in New York. You see Jeff Rutledge has replaced Rippon, and Rippon has well earned a rest.
The 13-year veteran out of Alabama, Jeff Rutledge. Hand off to Irvins. And Irvins just waiting to break a big one. And at the conclusion of this game, before golf, it'll be the NFL Today post-game show. Greg and Terry will take you around the league and let you know exactly what took place. After that, it'll be golf. Well, I'm sure Mark Rippon will have plenty to talk about. Second and 6. Ball at the 32. 8:12 left in the game. Irvins. And Irvins up near the 35 for a pickup of 3. Well, Randy, you and I talked at the top of the game about the weather favoring Washington, but we were thinking more about the ground attack. And I tell you, the air attack has been the name of the game for Washington, and that man there, Mark Rippon.
Well, they've got 90-some-odd yards rushing at this point, but 442 yards passing. It's unbelievable. In these kind of weather conditions, it's a great testament to the talent of this Washington Redskin team, what they've been able to do.
And the craftiness of the head coach.
Tell you what, Jeff Rutledge is at quarterback. His job right now is to hand the ball off right, hand the ball off left.
And he hands off. Ricky Irvin. A loss of 1 could have been a loss of 4. And Randy, your 49ers. I mean, you've talked so often, but people want to hear from you. What's happening with San Francisco?
A lot of it's their defense. I think the defense has had a down year. We saw the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Oilers still tied at 23 there. That's surprising. That's almost as surprising as Indianapolis losing as Tampa Bay are winning. Tampa Bay beating Detroit like that.
Kelly Goodburn on to punt on 4th down. And it's blocked. Tracy Eaton, second block of the day for the Falcons. And that brings their total to 7 on the year. They had 9 last season. 9 total blocks.
And in an otherwise completely positive day for the Redskins, that will get, there's special teams coach Bobby April of the Atlanta Falcons.
About the only one cheering on the sidelines.
These 2 block punts will give head coach Joe Gibbs and special teams coach Wayne Sevier something to considerably harp on and keep this team focused for next week's game coming up against Pittsburgh, because both these blocks have not even been close. They've been smothered. Tracy Eaton got that one. Darian Connor got the one in the first corner.
Let's elaborate on that point you made. You talked about Coach Gibbs having something to harp on.
Well, coaches, when things are going this good for winning teams, they're going to be 10-0. You need something negative to hit on, to pick on, to keep your team focused.
Ball at the 27 of Washington. 1st and 10 for Atlanta. 6:34 left in the game. Tolliver. Fumble. And it's recovered by Stokes. Number 8 for Fred Stokes since coming with the Washington Redskins. And what a pickup for him and the Skins.
Fred Stokes has been thought of as a pass rush specialist, working on the left-hand side, but he's got a well-rounded game. Working on Hinton, comes back around the outside on Tolliver, strips that ball loose and recovers it.
4th turnover of the game. I mentioned Fred Stokes, number 8, since he's been with the Skins in 32 games since becoming a regular back in November of '89. Has 16 sacks, 8 fumble recoveries, 5 forced fumbles, 1 interception, and a safety. I'd say those are pretty good numbers and a pretty good pickup. 1st and 10, Washington from the 40. Ward in motion. This is Irvins. And Irvins looking for the big one. He's got the first down. Wet field or not, he can go. 13-yard scamper by the young man from USC.
And Brian Jordan, the safety, number 40, did a wise thing by the Atlanta Falcons. He wrapped his legs up. Ricky Irvins is a power package. He's kind of like Barry Sanders, built low to the ground with very strong legs, and you better wrap those legs up. Watch him trying to pull out of this tackle right now. He's trying to pull out, but Jordan just wraps up those lower legs.
And speaking of Barry Sanders, Sanders, one of his idols, along with Walter Payton.
So far for Irvin, 16 carries, 39 yards.
1st and 10 from the 48 of Atlanta. 5:40 left in the game. And Gerald Riggs pulling his way up to about the 38. So the Skins go from the quick and shaky and shifty Ricky Irvins to the strong and powerful Gerald Riggs. Randy, I got to tease you, I found it quite interesting that Ricky Irvins, I guess who's somewhat 13 years younger, he actually remembered you. Now, he didn't say whether that was because of pictures or trophies he's seen around California.
Well, he went to SC. He grew up in Southern California. He goes, yeah, I remember you. I was in the 5th grade. So, yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
2nd and 4, under 5 to play. Riggs, maybe a yard.
And Washington's into their blast them and pound them mode. They have no intention of throwing the ball, and they are just wearing out the front right now, the Atlanta Falcons, with their running game. Even here on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, I look for them still to pound this ball on a run.
Not that Atlanta would want any, but no timeouts remaining for the Falcons, all 3 for Washington. So Jerry Glanville, as Randy suggests, may not want to show the tapes of this game to his troops.
You know, look at all these scores you're seeing flash in front of you. Remember that scoring drought people were talking about a couple weeks ago? Gee, they're not scoring very many points in this league. We've only got 66 here so far.
3rd and 3. Rutgers complete to Hobbs. Stephen Hobbs with only his 2nd catch of the season, a 2nd-year player out of North Alabama. You had asked me before the game, well, the Skins do have 4 receivers on the roster, do they not? But Stephen Hobbs doesn't see much action.
And maybe those 3 guys in front of him might have something to do with that, James. Just possibly.
Just a little bit. It'll be 1st and 10 for Washington. Ball at the 32 of Atlanta. 3:22 and counting. Riggs tripped up from behind by Torrey Epps. No gain on the play. Joe Gibbs will try to keep his team fired up as you look at the next 6 games.
And if something jumps out at you, it should. There's only one team on that list that's got a winning record currently. The Dallas Cowboys. Everybody else is struggling a little bit. That says to me it's 10-0 and going to the show, and the show is the Super Bowl this year, which is on CBS. And if they keep playing like this right now, that gentleman will be on the sideline in Minneapolis come late January.
Joe Gibbs wants it, but doesn't want to hear the talk just yet. Slips on the wet turf. Well, let's take a look at what the Falcons have coming up next Tampa, New Orleans, Green Bay, Rams, Seattle, Dallas, if you were to handicap that.
Well, obviously that game down there in the Superdome against New Orleans Saints is going to be a tough one, but I think Jerry Glanville's team has a legitimate chance of being a wild card team this year, because you're looking at a season where it won't be 7-9, it won't be 8-8, but Jerry Glanville's team has a shot at being 9-7.
And we're at the 2-minute warning. Glanville's team trailing big.
Little historical reference here on what you have to look for here with a 10-0 start for the Washington Redskins, making that now 6 teams starting at 10-0. And the bottom line is that little thing by the asterisk at the bottom. You want to be Super Bowl champions. Regular season records are nice. To get that Miami record would be fabulous, but I'm sure every person in this Redskin organization would trade a Super Bowl ring for a perfect record.
On 3rd down. Riggs. Greeted by his ex-mates in a rude fashion. Coming up next, the NFL Today post-game show. Greg Gumbel, Terry Bradshaw, scores and highlights from around the league. Talk to you about that Tampa Bay victory, Indianapolis's win. Kelly Goodburn on to punt for Washington with 1:27 and counting left in the game. Ryan Jordan back at his own 11.
James, whatever happened to the NFL shortening up games? We've been here about 3 hours and 25 minutes. This is unbelievable.
And it takes a Redskin roll down to the 11 as Sidney Johnson tried to help matters along a little more. It's not that wet a ball, Sidney. Well, Randy, let's go back to something we mentioned at the top. Washington and 16-0. Joe Gibbs has indicated, hey, yeah, this is a good team, not a great team. But is the chemistry, does it appear to be there for a 16-0 run?
It would appear to be there, James. I mean, it's hard to say what it is that takes to do that. It's only been done once. Can it be reproduced? I don't know. The only reason I brought up the fact a while ago was I think Joe Gibbs and these Redskins have got their eye on 1, the home field advantage, and 2, the Super Bowl. And that's the bottom line. Records are nice. Joe Gibbs is aware of what they're doing, and I'm sure he thinks the records are just wonderful. But if you don't make it to the Super Bowl with a great record, all of it doesn't count.
Brett Favre, the rookie out of Southern Mississippi, in the game for the Falcons from their own 12. Favre. And it's intercepted by Andre Collins. Touchdown, Washington. Second interception of the season for Collins.
Well, Brett Favre, did you ever have the Redskins on your schedule at Southern Mississippi? Wow. Welcome to RFK and the NFL. Good job of concentration by Andre Collins as Favre throws this ball in there. Tries to zip it into Pritchard. Ball slips through his hands. Pritchard, he's trying the best he can to pull down big Andre, but Andre will not be denied.
I know that Chip Lowmiller warms up quite a bit before a game, but he's got an awful lot of work today. Score is meaningless now.
Come on, Joe, give us a smile. Looks like he's biting his lip, trying not to smile. It's okay.
That's about as close as he'll get. Pegram from the 15. And Pegram dropped at the 40. Ralph Tan, among others, on the tackle with 47 seconds left. Randy, let me just pry one more time. We were talking about the chemistry with Washington and their effort to go 16-0. Clearly, the great 49er teams that you played on had a lot of talent, but there have been many cases of teams with talent not doing it. Can you describe what that intangible is that gets things clicking well?
The easiest way to describe it, James, is you have certain seasons, certain years, You walk onto the field as a group every time you're out there. You're positive you're going to win. You don't know how, you don't know when in the game, but you know every game you're out there, you're going to win.
Brett Favre throwing in the direction of Andre Rison. Alvoid Mays and Wilbur Marshall trying to play shortstop and scoop it up.
It looked like he was trying to skip it to him. Skip it in front of the defensive guys and skim it up over the top and get it to his receiver.
I think the picture right there says it all. When it rains, it does indeed pour.
See, Billy Joe Tolliver is about the only quarterback in the NFL you'll find that looks like a middle linebacker. Look at that bloody nose. He's got that attitude.
Teammates call him love handles. With nothing but time. Incomplete and nearly intercepted by Edwards. 34 seconds left in the game. Jeff Bostic, Terry Orr, plenty of reason to joke.
Little contrast in conditions on the sidelines.
Terry Orr caught a touchdown pass. Tim McKyer saw a number of touchdown passes.
And that Washington Redskin offense, 559 yards offense today. Just incredible.
Favre still scrambling, finally sacked. He ought to be thankful for the rain. He was, in fact, slippery because he was wet. But Bobby Wilson gets his second professional sack. Bobby Wilson in today replacing the injured Eric Williams. Eric Williams says, well, you know, you hate to see a rich and talented rookie behind you. One reason he did not want to miss the game today. 8 seconds left. This will be it. And intercepted by Sidney Johnson. The third interception of the afternoon for the Skins. They have 20 on the season. So here in Washington, our final score once again, Washington 56, Atlanta 17.